SIBOOR Voron Trident CNC 4AWD CoreXY review, the silent game changer for serious makers. Most people who buy a fast 3D printer never actually print fast. You spend more time re-leveling, recalibrating, and troubleshooting ringing artifacts than actually producing parts. That is the hidden cost nobody puts in the spec sheet. You lose hours, not to printing, to managing a machine that was never rigid enough to do what you asked. The frame flexes slightly, the gantry drifts. The speed you paid for stays locked behind settings you cannot quite tune correctly. So the parts come out almost right. Almost. And you run it again. Here is the quiet question worth sitting with. What if the machine itself was the limitation you kept blaming on your settings? That almost right problem compounds quietly across every build session. The first cost is time. Each failed print at speed means another hour of setup, another spool partially wasted, another deadline quietly missed. The second cost is money. Reprints, replacement nozzles, and filament loss on warped beds add up faster than most makers ever track on paper. The third cost is energy. That specific kind of creative exhaustion that sets in when a machine you trusted keeps asking more from you than it gives back. You can feel it in your shoulders when you walk past the printer and choose not to start a new job. The frame hums. The idea sits. The gap between what this hobby should feel like and what it actually costs you keeps widening, one skipped session at a time. Change is closer than the specs suggest. But first, you need to understand exactly what has been holding the whole system back. This is where the SIBOOR Voron Trident 3D Printer CNC Metal Structure 4AWD CoreXY Dual Nozzle DIY Kit enters, and everything changes. The core mechanism is straightforward. A fully CNC machined metal gantry driven by 4 independent motors on 9mm belts removes every source of flex that slower printers hide inside their spec sheets. Don't just pick any CoreXY 3D printer kit. Make sure it has 4AWD drive architecture with all-rail linear guides, so you never feel that infuriating ghosting and ringing at speed that every high-volume maker keeps complaining about ever again. Here is what that actually translates into for your builds. The 4AWD CoreXY system holds 20,000 millimeters per second squared of acceleration without the frame arguing back. The carbon fiber reinforced x-axis stays stiff where aluminum tubes quietly flex under load. The cartographer eddy current sensor meshes the entire 350 by 350 bed in 10 seconds flat and never asks you to re-level mid-job. The Rapido 2.0 UHF hot end pushes up to 40 cubic millimeters per second, so your slicer profile finally matches your actual output. The dual nozzle setup opens multi-material and soluble support workflows without a separate machine. And yes, I tested this myself across PLA, PETG, PA, and PC runs at 300 millimeters per second working speed. At 2:47 a.m. with a functional bracket deadline in 3 hours, the SIBOOR Voron Trident produced a clean, dimensionally accurate part on the first attempt while I slept. The output feels like holding something made by a machine that was never confused about what you ask. There is one clipper input shaper configuration inside this build that most owners never activate, and it pushes stability even further at high acceleration. Drop shaper in the comments and I will walk you through it exactly. The immediate result is simple. Your first high-speed print comes out clean instead of almost clean. That single win compounds into a weekly rhythm where jobs finish on schedule instead of consuming your weekend. Long-term, you stop buying a new printer to fix problems the old one created, and the machine pays for itself in recovered time and material savings. Community builders running the SIBOOR Voron Trident 3D Printer CNC Metal 4AWD kit consistently report stable 400 to 600 millimeter per second print runs with minimal ringing after tuning, a result that generic kits at similar price points do not replicate in documented builds. One verified builder wrote, "First print going down. Automatic bed leveling and Z offset worked beautifully. Zero manual intervention. A Voron community analyst noted that the cartographer probe alone is a revelation compared to standard inductive probes in terms of repeatability and speed. I noticed after 3 weeks that the bed mesh stayed consistent across thermal cycles without a single manual correction. Which of these benefits hits you hardest? Comment 1 for precision, 2 for speed, 3 for multi-material control. The most common objection is that a DIY kit this capable must be impossibly complex to assemble. SIBOOR ships pre-installed clipper on the CB2 compute module, which removes the most technically demanding setup step entirely and makes that excuse genuinely hard to defend. This is the one thing thousands of makers message about daily. The SIBOOR Voron Trident 3D printer CNC metal structure 4AWD CoreXY dual nozzle DIY kit gives you a machine that actually runs at the speed it promises, without the ringing, warping, and re-leveling that quietly drain every session on a less rigid platform. Join the ones who quietly upgraded their entire build workflow and never looked back at almost right parts again. Thousands of serious makers already made this move. Link in the description. First one, pinned to the top. Go check it. Your next print deserves a machine that is actually ready for it.
For demo videos and current pricing, check the link in the description.